Today, I want to speak from the heart about something we all experience and often wrestle with: change. But more specifically, navigating change together, in marriage. Marriage, at its best, is a beautiful partnership. But it's not always a still painting in a golden frame. It's more like a living, breathing garden. Sometimes, it's blooming. Other times, it's dry. Some seasons bring color, some bring storms. But what matters most is this: are we weathering those changes together? Let's begin with a truth we can't outrun: everything changes. People change. Bodies change. Jobs come and go. Children are born and raised and then leave the nest. Dreams evolve. Sometimes, we find ourselves far from where we began. And when change comes, because it always does, we stand at a crossroads. Do we grow together, or grow apart? You see, change in marriage isn't the enemy. It's not the villain we must fight off. The real challenge is not the change itself, but how we move through it together. Some couples fall into the trap of believing that the person they married will stay the same forever: the same laugh, the same habits, the same priorities. But people are not statues. They're rivers. They flow, they shift, they deepen over time. The question is, will we jump in and flow with them? Or will we remain on the shore, stuck in who they used to be? Marriage, like nature, moves in seasons. Spring is the beginning, full of bloom, newness, and hope. Everything is exciting. Everything is possible. The honeymoon phase, as they say. Then comes summer, the heat of life. Career climbs. Bills. Children. In-laws. Your partner is no longer just your lover, they're your teammate, your co-manager, your co-survivor. Passion now looks like doing the dishes without being asked. Like showing up after a hard day. Like staying, when leaving would be easier. Then arrives autumn, a time of change and reflection. Maybe the kids are gone. Maybe retirement is approaching. Maybe the house is quieter now. There's beauty in this season, a different kind of beauty. But it also requires letting go. Of what was. Of what never came. And embracing what is. And finally, winter, the time of deep-rooted love. A time when holding hands means more than 1,000 kisses. When your shared memories outnumber your arguments. When you realize that love isn't always loud, sometimes it's quiet. It's in the silence that feels like home. But listen closely, no season is better than the other. They're all part of the story. And every couple, every marriage, walks through these seasons, often more than once. In a world of highlight reels, curated photos, and romanticized fantasies, we've been sold a dangerous myth that love should be easy. But real love, lasting love, isn't easy. It's deliberate. It's waking up every day and choosing your person. Not just the version of them you met years ago, but who they are now, who they're becoming. It's about holding on, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when the road forks and you feel like strangers in the same house. Some days, love is laughter. Other days, it's conflict, misunderstanding, tears. And on those days, love isn't a feeling, it's a decision. A decision to listen, even when you'd rather be right. A decision to forgive, even when it still hurts. A decision to reach for their hand when pride tells you to turn away. That is love. That is marriage. And that is how we navigate change, together. So how do we move through these seasons, through these changes, together? We talk, not just about the calendar or the bills or what's for dinner. We talk about us. Because without communication, love suffocates in silence. Talk about what scares you. Talk about how you're changing. Talk about how you miss the version of yourselves who used to dance in the kitchen. Talk about the dreams you buried. The ones that are reborn. Talk not to fix each other, but to understand each other. Listen not to reply, but to connect. Because it is in those raw, vulnerable conversations that true intimacy is forged, not in grand gestures or picture-perfect anniversaries. You see, the strongest couples aren't the ones who never argue, but the ones who know how to argue well. Who don't retreat into resentment. Who reach back even after a hard night. Who say, I'm here. Even now. Especially now. One of the greatest gifts you can give your spouse is the freedom to evolve. To let them be more than who they were when you married them. Because marriage is not a prison. It's not about keeping someone exactly as they were. It's about building a safe place where both of you can grow, even if that growth looks different. Support their goals. Encourage their healing. Cheer for their transformation, even when it surprises you. Be their anchor, yes, but never their cage. Because when two people are free to become their fullest selves together, they don't drift apart. They become stronger. We often think that love is found in grand milestones, the weddings, the anniversaries, the trips, the big decisions. But love, real love, lives in the small moments. In the coffee left on the nightstand. In the text that says, I'm thinking of you. In the gentle hand on the back when words fall short. In watching their favorite movie, even if you've seen it 100 times. in staying up just to talk, even when you're tired. These tiny acts, repeated over time, form the glue that holds a marriage together when everything else is changing. Don't underestimate them. In fact, guard them. Because it is in these small moments that connection is kept alive. Now, I want to speak to those who may be in a harder season, where change feels more like a fracture than a transformation. Maybe you've grown apart. Maybe trust has been broken. Maybe your marriage doesn't look anything like you imagined. Let me say this gently, you are not alone. There is no such thing as a perfect marriage. Every couple has scars. What matters is how you tend to those wounds. Sometimes healing requires help, counseling, honesty, time, and courage. Sometimes it requires letting go of old patterns, old blame, and rediscovering one another again. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, it means walking away when the relationship becomes unsafe. And in those cases, it is not failure, it is self-preservation. But for those still fighting for each other, even in the mess, even in the change, hold on. Change is painful, but it's also the birthplace of renewal. To navigate change together means to always be looking forward. What kind of marriage do you want to grow into? What kind of love do you want to model to your children? To your community? To the world? The good news, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next small step. Maybe today, it's saying, I love you, when you haven't in a while. Maybe it's apologizing, sincerely. Maybe it's putting down the phone, making eye contact, and saying, how are you, really? Maybe it's dreaming together again. No matter where you are, whether it's your first year or your 50th, there's always room for a new chapter. In the end, this is what I believe. The couples who last, who not only endure but thrive, are not the ones who had the least change or the smoothest road. They're the ones who kept choosing each other in the midst of it all. They are the ones who remembered that love is not just about shared beds or shared bills, but shared growth, shared grace, shared resilience. They are the ones who said, whatever we face it together. And in that togetherness, they found strength, they found safety, and they found a love far deeper than anything they could have imagined. So wherever you are today, in spring, in summer, in fall, or in winter, I invite you to recommit. Recommit to choosing one another again and again, especially through change. Recommit to the small things. Recommit to the hard conversations. Recommit to growth, both your own and your partner's. Because marriage isn't about staying the same. It's about growing through every storm, blooming through every season, and building something unshakable, not because it never changed, but because you changed together. And that is a love worth fighting for. Thank you.